Hello and welcome again to another episode of Let's Talk Wargaming. I'm your host, Don Maidlow, and I have a very special guest today, and he is a mixture of a card games enthusiast and also a Warhammer enthusiast. We have Pleasant Kenobi. Hello.
Hello, that is me. I am a bit of both, you could say.
Yeah, and I'm excited to get you on because I'm a big card collector for Pokemon, and I have dabbled in different card games over the years, but I've never actually done Magic. But I know a lot of people in my gaming club, and I know a lot of people who actually collect it. So I want to talk a bit about that, but also the main topic of Warhammer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Venn diagram of people who are into both definitely crosses over, and that's kind of how. That's definitely what I've noticed. I've started to do content from one to the other because I've become a content creator for both. So
yeah. So let's get straight into it. How do you actually get into being a content creator?
Yeah. So I always wanted to be a teacher and a writer were my aspirations as a child. And then I found out when I started doing my postgrad that I hated kids and didn't like being a teacher at all. So I dropped out of that and tried to write like a journalist, gaming journalism, like all of us nerds do. And that's like an impossible field to get into in the modern day. And eventually I started making videos around that. And then eventually I started making magic videos. This is all like as a hobby alongside my dead end call center and like lending job for NatWest. And then eventually the magic videos, for some reason, I did something that no one else was doing, and it sort of hit off on Reddit and stuff. And then I started doing more and more. It started to get traction. One guy was like, "Can I give you some money?" Which was like a watershed moment. I was like,
wow.
"Yeah, of course you can."
Of course.
And that made me make a Patreon. Then I dropped a day at my day job and kept going and going. And eventually I was just making like a magic video like every other day, every day. And then I've been full time for about 4 years now, making Magic the Gathering content on YouTube. Dabbling in other stuff too. I say I'm a card game YouTuber primarily in Magic, and I also do the occasional video about collectibles. Like last Christmas, we talked about Mariah Carey's booster card she released. That was like, it was very funny. It's just such a weird product, but yeah.
Oh, that's really cool because a lot. I imagine there's a lot of people that will watch this video being like, I've always wanted to kind of like do my own thing, but I don't really know how to get started. But it's like you said, like you just made content that was unique at the time, and people loved it. And I've definitely, because obviously I do research for the show as well. I watch your videos, and they're very good. You're very, very like eloquent with your words. So, and I think that kind of hits home, especially with the content that you're making. And with all of these sort of card games, there's always more and more and more releases. There's like a special release for this specific like faction, or the way it will change the card game. So I think that's really cool. I think that's really cool.
There's always stuff to be talking about when it comes to Magic. It's kind of crazy. It's almost like it's too much. There's obviously that's one of the talking points. Like there's just too much Magic now. Like so when people are trying to get out there and make content, my one tip I always say to people is you just kind of have to start. Like my early videos, they sucked. Can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay, they fucking sucked. They really sucked. And some of it's private now because not because I'm ashamed of it, but I'm okay showing my warts and all. But also, I don't want people to discover me through my worst possible thing. Right? I want them to see my better stuff. So I tell people all the time: just get out there and make stuff. And your early stuff's gonna suck, and you won't know what you're doing. You won't know what your voice is. You won't know what you might not even start making videos on a thing you want to talk about. Right? I started making videos like talking about like retro indie video games and stuff. But yeah, you got to get out there. And then on the topic of like so much to talk about. I did exclusively gameplay, so I used to be very like almost competitively focused for Magic. Although I'd play like meme brews and wonky lists and stuff that people weren't expecting. And then nowadays I do less gameplay because people want to hear me talk more. You give people what they want, I guess, as well. So there's been an evolution there too.
Yeah, well, I can relate to that because when I started this last year about this time, and all I wanted to do was. But I couldn't really find anywhere which had a platform where they just interviewed content creators, and I was like, "There's so many out there. They like it's going to be a good idea. It's going to be a good idea, but no one's doing it." So I did it. But I remember my first video I did with Nick Navati, and it never got released because I was so nervous. With speaking, I kept stuttering. Like I actually was very, very boring, and I wasn't very excited. I wasn't that engaging with everything because I just.
It's kind of good you can notice that though. It's good you can recognize that in a way. Like I also say to people, just fucking throw it out there and like and see how people react to it and like innovate and change and adapt as you go. But at the same time, I do think filming your first couple and being like, nah, these can't get released. But now I know some of the hurdles I've got to pass, whether that be your own nervousness or like technological issues or stuff like that. So yeah, just people, you just gotta give it a go. I know it's a weird thing to say because some people get very anxious and nervous and shit, but you just have to start doing, even if you don't put it out there initially. You've just got to start. You got to start somewhere. You can spend years preparing and then like just never do it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because before this, I was doing the Real Space Raiders podcast, and it was every 2 weeks, but it was recording. But then for the first episode I did with Nick, it was on video, and I couldn't help but just look at me and just like, oh my god, I look weird. Oh my god, why am I doing this?
Well,
and
you can install an RTX plugin now that changes your eyes, can't you? That's the new. Have you seen this?
I did not know that, but
So
that'll sort my one eye out.
It's an NVIDIA piece of tech that they're releasing. It's NVIDIA are championing it. It's an AI assisted plugin, but as you're reading from a script, it will adjust your eyes to be looking always at camera.
Wow.
I think it might work for some things. I like the idea that in videos I can look away because it makes a point if I'm reading something off screen or I'm like thinking it's okay. But like the idea that my eyes are always locked to the camera is kind of weird and uncanny. But that's the thing. Technology will take away all the issues you've got. You'll have a stutter, let's say, and like there'll be an algorithm that will remove it and and change your mouth to make it look like it's not there. That's where we're getting to with tech, right? AI art and all that, right?
Oh my god! You just say, right, I'd like to talk about this. I'll record it, but
and invites you a
AI
script.
the face.
Yep,
there we go.
Invites you a script, makes you the AI face. You can sit there with like a closed mouth that just makes your mouth. That we're probably only a few years off that. Whether or not that's good content and anyone will watch it or want it, I don't know. But that's probably a thing that is achievable within a few years. But anyway, that's probably not the topic of this podcast.
No, but it's just quite interesting to think about. But so you are, like we were talking about just then about for card games, you're very into your Magic and everything like that. I want to get your opinion on the releases of all of these different card games that Games Workshop has tried to get in the recent years, because we had the Combat Cards game, which is very popular, and then they've got the Age of Sigmar version of it. Then they released it as an actual card game in physical form, and now they've just released the Dark Galaxy, which isn't a card game, as we discussed just before this.
Yeah, because I didn't know what it was. You said to me about Dark Galaxy. I looked it up. I was like, "Oh, this is the Panini stickers, but put on hardbacks." And, like, it literally looks like it's reusing the assets. Even like the composition, where they took an old Sigmarinus art, put it on like a foil background. That's on a sticker, and then instead of like even rejigging it a little bit, they just stuck out a card. It looks like a very cheap and nasty way to make some money, if I'm honest. The combat card thing you mentioned, though, is interesting. There's a lot more history to that, because Combat Cards has been around for like 20 plus years. It was like a top trumps thing when I was a kid, because I owned loads of it. And then they made a digital version of it, and they've gone back to make the physical version of it. I'm not a fan of it. I think it's just top trumps, isn't it? To an extent.
It very much is. Yeah.
It's not a real. Okay, I don't want to shit on anyone who enjoys it, and it probably has some like mechanical depth to it, but like it doesn't do well in representing like thematic things in a gameplay space, like Magic can or Warhammer can, where you have like interesting rules that signify how like Luminar Xeris would res bodies or whatever. Combat Cards are just like some stats on a card. It's not my thing. Warp Forge comes out this year, which I will bang the drum about. They got a demo coming out the week. I don't know when this is coming out, but it'll be out probably before this. That's like if you've played Horus Heresy Legions. Do you ever play that?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. So I love that game. The monetization's a bit iffy, but I think the game is solid. That developer's now making the 40k version. So Legions is kind of like coming to an end. All of the factions have been released. I don't know. They're probably going to keep updating it, but not in real terms. And then we're going to 40k now with 6 factions to start. No Drukhari to start with, I don't think. But there will be craft worlds and stuff. I'm excited for that. That's going to be really fun. That comes out this year. So yeah, they want to get into that space, and I think they have the intellectual property that is strong enough, and the flavor that's strong enough, and the audience already there, and card gamers that are interested. I just wonder if Games Workshop will market it enough and do the things that are needed for a card game to like survive or even compete with Magic and the modern Yu-Gi-Oh digital clients and Hearthstone and Legends of Runeterra and stuff. I'm not sure.
I have a feeling that it's going to be more of an online game than a physical game.
Oh, there's no way. The game doesn't work in physical, because a lot of them, not to get into the weeds about it, but a lot of the cards generate new cards. So your warlord trait, if you will, every turn creates a version of a card in your hand, and then that card can be moved around in the space, then it dissolves at the end of turn. So there's like things that you physically can't do without it become really cumbersome in physical paper. Which is good in some ways, because that allows you to do like RNG stuff, where you like have a card that says resummon 1 dead unit from this randomly from this game.
Yeah.
If you have to roll dice and figure it out in a physical space, the computer just does it for you.
Yeah.
There are upsides to a digital one, so that's never going to be a physical card game. Will GW ever do a physical card game? Maybe. But they did. Was it Champions, the AOS one?
Yeah, yeah.
And they just killed it. They just killed it dead.
I've got it up there. But no,
Imagine Games Workshop killing fantasy properties out of nowhere.
I know.
That's not like them, is it?
No. No, but it'd be interesting to see if that actually catches on, because the new Dark Galaxy cards are actually look pretty nice, but I like I actually said that I think it's just repurposing artwork, which is okay, which means it's more of a collectible than anything else. But I've always been interested in card games from coming back from Pokemon. I'm still a Pokemon collector, but I would quite like a Warhammer 40,000 physical card game that works.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
well, are you aware of
it will sell.
The Warhammer get cards for Magic? You aware of those?
I'm aware that they did some of those there.
Yeah, so we had a release late to mid last year. It was Warhammer Commander decks, 4 decks. Every card in it was skinned in the Warhammer universe. Every deck had 40 new cards that had never been seen in Magic before. So instead of just taking the character and reskinning it to be like Marneus Calgar, it was just a new card for Marneus Calgar, which upset a lot of Magic players. That's not a popular decision on that front. But the decks were amazing. The theme and flavor was on point. Like the Necron deck does like really cool things with like the graveyard and reanimating and stuff. And the Tyranid deck created like the biggest creatures possible. The Imperium flooded the board with like guardsmen and Space Marines. It was phenomenal. It was such a good product. And I'm hoping we get that again, because if we're honest, the Magic game system, and I'm a bit biased here, being I've played it for like 30 years and make 40K, I make YouTube content about it. But I think it's like one of the better rule systems. It's not the best rule system for a card game ever made, and that's the reason it's endured, right? So I think it's a good place to play that playground of playing with other IPs. So far we've had 4 decks and a handful of reskins. Like Gazgul Thracker is a reskin of an old card. What I'm hoping we'll get is more of those going forward, like another set of 4. So we get the Drukhari, we get the Adnet, we get the Custodes, or whatever it ends up being, right? And then we can get more and more of that. And eventually there'll be enough things where it's like almost its own self-contained universe within Magic. That would be sick. I really hope that happens again, because the last ones were phenomenal. They just absolutely smashed out of the park. Do
GameShop own the rights to actually sell those Magic cards in their stores?
They might be able to sell the sealed products. That might be like a part of the deal. But that might be part of the deal for all I know. There is some weird contract stuff with that. So there's a digital client for Magic where you can get your cards and build your decks and play online. And everyone's like, oh, can you put some of the cards from the Warhammer decks on there? Because in Legacy, which is basically everything's imagine if Warhammer Legends, you know, when the cards were Legends. Imagine that was a format. That's Legacy, right? Everything is legal. And there's a small ban list. And a couple of cards. The Triumph for St. Catherine is one of them. Has become like a Legacy pseudo staple. It's actually really strong, because it keeps coming back. When it dies, it goes back to your library and you can miracle it off the top, you know. It's
wow.
Anyway, so people want that. And then the developers of Modo said, actually, we can't put them onto the digital client right now, because contractually we can only sell them in the sealed product of all 100 cards at once. So for some reason, they signed a contract with Games Workshop where they can't sell or print the cards or distribute them digitally separately, which is such an oversight from Wizards. Because they have to put these cards out there. On top of that, to really bore you with the weeds of it, Marneus Calgar is an Astartes creature. And what that means is Astartes is kind of like it is part of GW's intellectual property. So Wizards can't reprint that with a different name. They can't reprint it without his art and just call him like Bob the Warrior Man. Because it has Astartes there, which is a functional game thing. So then they've had to be like, oh, we'll have to like basically proxy that with another word. It is a mess of a thing.
Oh my god!
And we've seen no reprints yet. And then on top of that, the product was like short printed. Like New Zealand, I think, are still waiting for some of their orders to come through, and we're like 6 months on.
Jesus.
And then if that never happens, if they just stop printing it eventually, as they will with all Magic product, these things become super rare collectibles. It is a weird time. Imagine if they released Warhammer models for a short while, crossing over something else, and then just stopped and said we can't reprint them because of contracts. Imagine that.
They do that all the time.
Oh, actually, GW do that all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Copters weren't available for like a decade or whatever. So actually, weirdly, I hadn't really made that parallel. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's like they'll release like a Kill Team box or whatever, just as an example, and they'll release it once, and you'll never be able to get it again.
Well, I was reading about, I was discussing suppressors with somebody about Iron Hands and suppressors and how I think they might even have a better slot than the Inceptors because of points, price, and range. We'll talk about that later. And then someone dawned on me. They said, "Oh, you can't buy a box of suppressors. They're only available in the Vanguard Start Collecting or the Combat Patrol." Maybe there's another version of it now.
Oh, it's the old Venom Crawler thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I've got a spare lot of suppressors though because they came in the Imperium magazine in issue 37 or something. It's so dumb. It's absolutely absurd considering these are like competitive potential staples now and stuff as well. So dumb. So dumb.
Because with the Venom Crawlers and the Master Possessions, they were in the Codex when they came out, right? But you couldn't buy them.
Yeah. And they're also, there's a lack of forethought thinking as well, because on the same sprue, there's a sprue of Venom Crawler plus something else.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's on a to-do list somewhere at Games Workshop was design up in CAD the Venom Crawler sprue without other thing. And then that got pushed back like 4 years. And it's never happened. And we're now at that stage where they have to sell them together. So I think you can buy a Venom Crawler plus a Hellbrute or something in a box. Yeah. And which is funny because no one wants Hellbrutes. And people think it's because they're trying to sell you Hellbrutes. It's not. It's because they're on the same sprue because of lack of forethought 4 years ago. It is just it's absurd. The whole thing is dumb. Yeah.
So it looks like we're going now into Warhammer. So so me and you have played once before randomly off a TTS forum on Discord's pickup game, and we met on that. We had an interesting game with you were playing Blood Angels and I was playing completely unnerfed Harlequins when they just got released.
For people to understand why I was on Blood Angels at the time, it's because Armor of Contempt had just happened, and I thought maybe, just maybe, the Sangard and Centurions could do it, and they couldn't. They just couldn't.
Yeah.
Every game I played, I was like, I wish I was playing something else. This is not good.
Yeah, it was just Dom goes first. All of the 8 boats hit you, and it's like,
it's the boats that are the problem. It's why I think the Harlequins haven't really been that nerfed, because the boats are still obnoxious as shit. But anyway.
Because when it happened, I was like, no, I'm selling the army. They've been nerfed to oblivion. And Jay from Bohawk Military straight away messaged me being like, I'll paint you a Lord of Skulls, give me your army. And I went, oh yeah, it's a great idea. Then I had like a week to think about it. I was like, no, they're not that bad. Like, I'm a Contents gone, so they're way more killy now. Their melters just one-shot vehicles. All right, okay. So, sorry, Jay. No,
because there's currently on the Harlequin discussion, there's 2 camps, right? There's people who said they've absolutely been dumpstered because of the 5-up invuln thing, which I think what podcast listened to I was painting. I think it was like one of the Frontline Network. So like good players, dumpster trash, unplayable. And then the other side of the debate is actually you never really see them anyway. They bounce in and out of cover and they kill stuff they come into contact with. So what does it really matter? And I think both of those conversations are they're like valid points. But it's so funny that they're like literally on 2 ends of the spectrum. Right? They're either actually unplayable or actually it's a mild inconvenience. And the boats are still like no can't reroll hits. Minus 1 to hit as well. That's it. Yeah. Oh, it's crazy.
And they can advance and shoot, which is so they go 20. So you can have 8 boats. Turn 1, go 22. Get all the angles so you're not obscured. Kill everything with their -1 AP and AP3 guns, which are damage 2. So you're gonna kill all the Marines.
I'm quite scared of because I'm trying to play Iron Hands at the moment. I'm pretty sure I'm on Iron Hands Beachhead, and I'm terrified of like if it is like 6 to 8 boats, and I'm relying on rerolls to fire off like melters and stuff. Then I'm like, can I even pop enough of these boats for it to even matter before they're like and stuff?
You can. The answer is you can.
I don't know what the math is. I've not mathed it out. But also, my Harlequin and Craft World's win rate in 9th is so low that I think I'm in my own head. I'm psychologically scarred. And I don't know. Every time I come against them, I'm like, I can't win this. No matter what I'm playing, I'm like, I am fucked.
Yeah,
because these armies have screwed me so much.
I actually think that the Dark Harlequins are going to make a comeback because they've got extra AP now. So if I'm a Contempt going, it's basically an extra 2 AP for that one. And yes, they fight on death and they do a mortal wound. That doesn't matter. It's the AP and it's the relic for like no Overwatch and all this sort of stuff, and the stratagem for ignoring Overwatch. So you can get into Iron Hands pretty quickly because you have Death Jester, which ignores 1, and then you get you charge your troop in, do 12 mortals in total in combat and in charging in, and your AP3. So maybe they're back. Maybe Harlequins have just got better.
Before the data slate, I was rush painting Orks, right? I was like, I don't really know what I want to play at the moment. I'm just going to pick up my Orks because I really enjoy playing them
Yeah.
and just go with it. And they were quite hurt by Armor of Contempt anyway, right? Because you're just running into stuff with like AP 0 choppers and it was rough. And then I was like, but I'm going to keep going because the Data Slate is going to remove Armor of Contempt. That's a buff. And I'm sure we'll get points drops and some other things will improve them. And the Data Slate came and I was saying to my friend, I've rush built this and I'm like slap chop petting it at this point to try and get it done. And it's funny because I'm putting it in a game, like a squad or two, right? As the points change or some upgrades, everyone gets free rocket launchers or claws or something. It came and went and we got almost nothing. Like it's like rockets like free on one unit and like I think death cans went down. And I'm like, okay, fine. We got our AP back, like you're saying about Harlequins, right? So effectively a 15% damage output increase in many ways because of like how it works. But then trucks are pretty shit. We're nowhere near as fast as Harlequins. We don't have it, but we do have it in Fun in the War actually.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the same logic. Maybe Orks are playable if I just pretend they're Harlequins. But the trucks don't like soak up shots, do they? Those trucks just pop like nothing.
Trucks are good though. Trucks are like one of the best transports in the game, and no one realizes how.
Why do you say that? Because of truck boys, or like?
Because you can move them and then get your guys out.
Yeah, one squad. It's a one squad upgrade. Yeah,
that's fine. You just do it with mega knobs.
Yes, that is what I started doing. Yeah. Mega knobs for truck boys. Come out of truck.
And then with all your power claws, you just slap all the iron hands across the board.
Yeah, just advance and charge into them. I don't know. Maybe that's my beachhead army. Maybe that's what I do. But now we're just rushing through topics you probably want to come to. But now everyone can strategically reserve everything. I also think Orks got worse because you can't really get a good wire off unless they allow you to. Because things are coming out of deep strike and just murdering you. That's my plan playing Iron Hands is like probably just put stick a lot of stuff in reserve then I guess.
Well, don't forget it is just the sides. So
yes. That benefits shooting armies over ranged.
Yeah.
Sorry, shooting army is over melee.
Yeah.
So yeah, because like well, okay. Anyway, back to the topics you want to talk about. Cause I feel like we're going to talk about this stuff anyway, and I'm basically a million miles an hour where I've been scouring Warhammer.
So excited.
I am because the data slate. If you want to talk about that, the data slate is like so exciting for how much it changed the game up. Because like pre-data slate, I was like, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna play Orcs because they're fun, and I don't. Winning is not really even the answer at this point because I'm just And then the data slate came, and I'm like, and I own like 20,000 points worth of Space Marines. And I unlocked all these old firstborn units that I bought when I first got back into the hobby. Yeah. I'm like, oh wow, maybe this is the way. So yeah, it's exciting time.
It's the data slate for everyone who hasn't read it all, which I'm sure everyone has by now. But it's basically Space Marines have got the biggest buff in the world, and they basically get free war gear. They've had some points drops across the board. And it's enough to be like all of these firstborn units like Stern Guard and all this sort of stuff, and for Sky Claws, for Space Wolves and all these things, and they're just getting way more killy. It's not like they've had like a couple points reduction on like every unit, but it's the fact that like your 15-point Thunderhammer is now free. Yeah. And so you just take a Thunderhammer on every single sergeant. Okay, then you're like, okay, what else can I have? Oh, okay, I can have heavy weapon free, so every single squad has a las cannon. And then you're like, okay, so I can also get free war gear, so I get a free melter gun on my sergeant and a free
combi melters, but yeah.
And now it's turning into so every single squad can pop a tank.
Yeah.
And then your tanks can just, in the new dev doctrine for Iron Hands, because you were saying you're playing Iron Hands, you're going to be in heavy doctrine for most of the game. Mm-hmm. So you are going to be extra AP, and you've got your
resilience. They also, to balance out Marine versus Marine, they decided to drop the points on a lot of the Primaris tanks that people bought or did not buy and did not use.
The Gladiator, the Lancer, and
all three of the Gladiators went down by like 20 or 30 points. The Reaper, I think it is like 150, and that fires like it's like at half range. If it's under 15, it fires like 30 shots because it's got like 8 shots of rapid fire as well.
Oh yeah.
But if it's at max range, it's only 24 shots from the top end, 8 for the bolters, some iron house stubbers, and some missiles. Because by the way, all of those are free now. They're all 5 points before they're all
more
free.
Shots.
So like I fired into a Necron warrior blob that had a 5-up invuln stuck onto it, and they got like they veiled it in front of me and deleted me off the midfield objective on my event on the weekend. And I fired a few things and killed a few guys. They got back up and like, okay, I need to commit and kill the blob in one go. 20 of them, 5 invuln. I guess I'll just activate the Gladiator on 2s because of Tech Marine, reroll in 1s, AP 2, so I'm taking them to the invuln. And it just killed like 18 of them or something because it fires so many shots at half range. It was so good. And my friend was like, I thought these might be quite good into all the melters. I'm like, yeah, but now not only do we have all these free melters, but Marines also have all these free bolters, assault cannons, cyclone missile launchers, frag missiles. Like you can kind of kit out for most things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
exciting times.
I totally agree, because it seems to be in the Marine factions that the biggest kind of winners that have been going around all the forums and all of the other content creators have been talking about has been Dark Angels, because all of the bikes get free hammers now, and they're special bikes. You can take like 30 of them and then combat squad them all, so then you have like just so many of them. Then
I think on top of the Dark Angels real quick, I'm not sure that mono wing is even the way to go, because if you're mono wing, if you're Death Wing or Raven Wing under the current rules, you get obsec, right?
Yeah.
But like Marines have like at least 2 ways to give obsec to shit anyway, and you can get like a 9-inch bubble of obsec on the like a character, right? So who cares about obsec when you can fight of war like a apothecary or whatever on a bike? So, and then you've got like perma transhuman Terminators at 33 or 34 points, maybe in Darkest, maybe a bit more, with like free war gear, by the way. So they got storm shields too, right? And then you've also got all this free Raven Wing stuff, who gets like extra 3 inches of movement, 4 up in them when they advance, can still shoot heavy when they advance at -1. So I don't even know if mono wing is necessary. You can take 1,000 points of like unkillable Terminators, 1,000 points of 21-inch moving multi-melters. And that seems like a reasonable list, like without even fine tuning it. But.
I totally agree, because I was talking to one of the coaches of Vanguard, because they're part of my team, the team I play for, and I was just like, tell me about Dark Angels, and he was just like, you want land speeders, and I was like, why do you want land speeders? Because they can hide in LGT terrains, not the new ones, the new fancy pants big ones. You want the old ones where you have a melter gun in each. They can go in squads of 3, so you get 3 melter guns, and then they have assault cannons as well, and then they just go boom, turn 1, get all the angles. They can also hide in the train, so you're safe.
I think it's 60 points for the melter one off the top of my head, and like maybe 70 or 80 with a melter or something.
Cheap, so cheap. And then you have your like mass bikes that go up with the plasma, which are going to be damage 2 or damage 3, and you're just gonna clean up if you. I
think we're in this weird world where plasma inceptors got reduced, and I came into the game when plasma inceptors are broken, and I'm not even sure if they're the best thing to take, because Iron Hands you have to like get a captain or like spend CP to give them a reroll. And in Dark Eldar, I'm wondering if you've got the resources to do it. Obviously, if you've got a lot of Black Knights on your shelf, if you've got 20 of them or whatever, they might just be better anyway, because of the movement and the Raven Wing buffs and stuff as well. So I'm wondering if even Plasma Inceptors, which we know are absurd, if they're not even good enough compared to the specialist units in like other doctrines and stuff.
I don't know. The thing that makes them good though is that they got fly, so they can hide. When you reveal yourself, they pop out. And then
that's true. That's true.
Bang, you're dead. So
they only move 10, where the Dark Angels bikes move. Is it 16 or 18 without advancing or whatever? And you're probably advancing.
I think it's like a 22-inch move in total.
Yeah, they get plus. Yeah, 16 plus 6, 18, 14 plus 6 plus 3. 23. Anyway, my point is, without flight, they can still make the same movement. I guess the only thing is being like blocked by models and stuff.
Yeah, because that is the only problem with that. I think that's why he went. You need speeders, because then you can jump behind.
Yeah.
And then if you go first, you just go infiltrators all the way up the front. So then there's like a wall that they can't get by, and the move blocked. Bit annoying.
Yeah, talk about trucks and orcs trying to move through move blocking object things that sticky objectives is also pretty rough.
Yeah, so maybe Terminators is the way forward then for Dark Angels, because they've got transhuman. They've all got storm shields, and I think you could even take a heavy weapon, a cyclone, and something else.
So all of that is free, and the Deathwing Terminator. So I think it's only Space Wolves and Dark Angels that can mix match. Everyone else, you've got assault squads of shields, or you've got traditional Terminators with cyclone and assault cannons, right? But Deathwing and Space Wolves, Thunder Men, I don't know what they're called. Thundermen. They can mix match, I believe. I know Deathwatch definitely can. I don't know Deathwing. Sorry, I don't know if Space Wolves definitely can. So yeah, you've got like 5 of them with storm shields or 6 of them with storm shields. Stick 1 claw in there if you really want to get in and like blend someone. And then you've got like a free cyclone, a free assault cannon, and then maybe some storm bottles and fists if you want. I'll just back to more under hammers. It's kind of crazy, and they're like 33 or 34 points depending on like which one you're looking at.
So that's kind of like a quick rundown of Dark Angels, why they're good, because that is scary, having all of these speeders flying with all the assault cannons, which are AP1. So they're
and every land speeder in the game went down in points, including their lieutenant ones with the machine guns.
Oh, they are ridiculous.
Yeah, they went down by like 10 or 20,
ridiculous. I think. You need 3 of those. They're not Watchmasters or whatever they're called.
Talonmaster, maybe.
Talonmaster, that's it. So you're going to be seeing 3 of them in every list, and then you're going to be seeing loads of land speeders, and then you're going to be seeing loads of bikes, and then it's job done. It's banner. You have 2 units to do banners, and then the rest is just going to kill you. And then their
Mhm.
secondary is to kill you. So they get 2 points for every unit they kill. So that's
What secondary is that? Is that the hunt? Is it?
I can't remember the actual name of it, but it's basically the Dark
Is it
Age specific
Okay.
one. Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm considering if Iron Hands, if I end up being like, oh, I don't want to be Iron Hands, I might put Dark Angels of Beachhead.
I
don't know.
I think it's versus where you go Iron Hands or Dark Angels. I literally think it's whoever goes first wins.
Mm.
With the Marine factions, and I think it's a bit annoying, but that's why this next one, which we're going to talk about, Space Wolves, yeah, this is why I think they might be a nice
Okay.
counter, because you're going to have you're going to start off with three. I was talking about this briefly of Chris Rashford, and he's one of the best Space Wolves players in the UK. I think he's #1 in Europe actually, but I was just like, what are you playing this season? I want to know, because Space was my first ever faction, and I kind of want to meta chase a bit with some Marines. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out, and maybe this conversation will help me, trying to figure out what's good. And he just went Sky Claws. You can take, I think it's up to 4 melter variants in the squad,
Mhm.
one Storm Shield Thunderhammer, and then a Power Fist, because you can give like a special almost like character which you can add onto the squad.
Yeah, they get to add Terminators to squads, don't they? But with
Yeah.
jump pack troops, it becomes a Terminator, not in Terminator armor or something.
Yeah.
It's how it works out. So I think they
But
might hit on
105 points.
Yeah. I thought it's more, because someone else was talking to me about this, and they were saying 100. It's very strange that I've had 3 different people tell me they're worth different points, and I've not looked it up. I've been told they're 110, but either way, for the
It could
matter
be
of 5
110.
points,
It could be
who knows?
110. I might have got
You
it
could
off
be
by...
right, and they could be wrong, because like I said,
Exactly.
someone else in that conversation other than this was saying they're 120. So I
don't think it's 120 though. I think
I
I
don't
think
think
it's at the point where it's ludicrously cheap, because you go 3 squads of those, because they're very good, and they will trade their
How many Storm
105
Shields
points.
are you taking in that squad?
Just one.
You only have to like pop that 1/4 up before you can like hoover them
Yeah,
up, I
but the
guess.
thing is, they're infantry and jump packs, so they stay behind and come out when they're needed, and they
Yeah.
can also deep strike. So they're perfectly fine with kind of being
But
flexible.
we are going into a meta game where from turn 2 everyone can get angles on each other, right? This is the interesting thing, because I was also thinking like I was going to drop troops entirely playing Iron Hands at first. I was like, fuck it, who needs them? Then obviously sticky objectives end up in my games I played like 5 games of the new data slate with 4 deploying OBSEC, where you OBSEC it and then just walk off it into cover or behind cover so you can't be seen, and you now sticky them and they have to come up and get it. And I was like, this is good. This is way better than I thought it'd be. And then what I've also realized, which I haven't played yet, is that if you take the slightly dearer forward deploy, and I get the names wrong, either Infiltrator or Incursor, whichever one's dearer with a 12-inch bubble.
Yeah.
In theory, you can forward deploy, sticky something, move away to the edge, and now you've got a 12-inch deep strike deny bubble that like removes all this strategic reserve shit from the side of the board.
Yeah.
And then they've got to kill that before they can drop in a gladiator at an angle or eradicators at an angle or whatever it is they're trying to drop in.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that actually secretly really good? Is the 12-inch denial bubble going to be like meta defining in the new
100%, 100%? Because like I've been thinking about stuff with chaos and bringing in drop pod, and bringing in a drop pod, but I'm like, it won't.
What do you put in a drop pod in chaos? Do you put in noise marines?
Yeah, put noise marines.
Okay.
Or you can, if you want to be, you can put in, if you're Iron Warriors, you can put in 2 squads of chain gun havocs, because they are 8 shots each at strength 5 AP1, and they ignore cover.
And they exploding 6s.
Turn 1, yeah.
Turn 1 would. Oh yeah, because interestingly, Chaos Marines didn't get to stay in the wanton you want.
No.
That is so funny. That is beyond funny.
We really got shafted, if I'm totally honest with you.
That is so funny. Well, think of, like if they what I would have loved to have seen, honestly, is that they let us choose our doctrine and then stay in it.
Yeah.
Because like Blood Angels right now, because +1 to wound and melee is so good, but it takes you a year to get there, and you've lost the game by the time you get to it. That's my experience.
Yeah.
So it's just anyway. So yeah, I think Deep Strike Deny might be really, really strong, especially if people are bringing drop pods, especially if strategic reserves. Because in the situation you said, who goes first wins.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, because against someone with like, let's say they've got 10, 20-inch moving melter platforms, I'm going to put my Gladiator in Deep Strike, might put my Redemptor in Deep Strike. I'll put all these things in strategic reserve so they can fly around all they want, and then on turn 2 I'll just come out of Deep Strike and just shoot stuff dead.
Yeah.
But I guess also,
then
the land speed is screened well,
on the outside, being like, can't come in.
Yes, but hopefully other people haven't figured out that tech yet.
Well, they'll listen to this and they'll go, aha!
yeah, I generally think the 12-inch deep stroke denial might be the best thing that no one is talking about right now.
Yeah, I agree,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of things that, like, especially like Eldar, they come in and they try and do the auto charge with the dice. You got miracle dice which can do that sort of stuff, and you've got there's Emperor's Children, like there's the drop pod you come down with chosen get out, you kill one and then res one and then spend 1 CP to automatically make a charge.
How would you kill one? What allows you to kill
Psychic
one?
powers. So you basically a unit that's within 3 of the master possession, you basically take wounds off it, so you roll, and then let's say you get lucky first time and you do 3 mortal wounds, you kill a
Right, OCU. Yeah,
next power is you heal 1, res 1, so then you res it forwards.
Yeah, gain some charge distance.
And
Also,
then,
do Emperor's Children still have, in the latest books, they still have the change 1 dice to 6?
that is the strat. So it's Honor the Prince, and instead of rolling dice, you don't change it. You have to pick 1 dice. So you pick one dice, and then you roll the other one. But the distance from
is that 7 inches?
Is 6 inches exactly. So you just
Okay.
spend the 1 CP just to automatically get in, and you can ignore Overwatch if 1 noise marine from across the board shoots the thing you're going to charge, and you spend 1 CP. Ignore Overwatch.
That's exactly what suppressors do for free.
Yeah.
Just go back to suppressors
Yeah.
again. I think they are shit in every faction, but in Iron Hands they reroll their own ones. They don't have
They're 2 damage as well, aren't they?
They're damage 2, AP 2 at all times now, and they shoot 48 inches, and it's 90 points for 9 shots.
Okay.
3 through rolling once. Because in one of my games of the weekend, my opponent had left a character out in the middle of nowhere. He was winning, my Death Guard opponent, and then my suppressors, at the end of the game, I needed a few more points for the event, so I just flew them 12 inches, because they move 12, not 10 like Inceptors, because they're not Gravis, and then just shot this guy dead. 9 shots, reroll my right dice. And then
That's
Master
obscene.
as well. Yeah, I don't know if you want multiple squads, but the fact they got 48-inch range, land a hit, you can't overwatch them, you charge now with my Vanguard Vets or whatever melee you want to take as your objective clearer. I think suppressors are actually really good, at least 1 squad.
So do you think Iron Hands are going to be the big boogeyman, especially with that AP?
Dude, it's so funny because I play a lot of Warhammer and I love it, and I think about it all day, and my wife is even like, "You're obsessed." We're lucky it's part of your job, Vince, because otherwise this would be a problem. But I'm also like, I'd say I'm above average, but I'm not good enough to really like define what's going to happen. But I think so, right? I think like even if they aren't like the absolute best army, and there are other armies with much higher win percentages going forward for the next 2 months until we get a fix to this. Whatever GW, like, okay, enough is enough. Let's adjust things again. I do think that they are good enough to carry people who are even not that great, if that makes sense. Because I think melee armies are much more skill intensive in Warhammer, because you've got to make charges, consolidate properly, figure out where your next move is going to be. I've got a friend who's going to play World Eaters, and he says, "I was going to make the game easier for me." It's like, no, it's way harder than anything else you're doing.
Yeah.
But you've got a shooting army that just sits in one doctrine, and you can actually hang back.
Dice.
Because I'm thinking successor as well. You take Artisan for 1 reroll for more efficiency, and then the second trait is up for debate. I see people take Exploding Sixes. I reckon it's just going to be absurd, because then you're like, Eradicators move 5 and shoot 27. Like they can hit anything you want. And the Gladiator Reaper, 33 inches on the top gun. Like you don't even have to get anywhere near anything. I don't know. It feels like easy mode compared to like actually slogging it out with the opponent in the midboard. Like, I don't know.
But maybe I think it is in a sense easy mode, but I think lists can't just be guns.
Absolutely.
Otherwise the meta is literally going to be whoever goes first wins. And if you go to a tournament where there's not much terrain, you're going to be picking up an army. But
you'll be able to hide 50% of it behind buildings, and the other 50% going deep strike.
Yeah,
this is the most profoundly game-changing like update we've ever seen, because not only have they made the poster boy faction that's been terrible for like over a year, like potentially godlike. We don't know for certain, but it looks that way, right?
It is godlike.
And then they've gone like, oh, by the way, you can also hide half your army off the board. Oh, and also we've banned planes. And you're just like, what is going on? This is such a profound change. Because they have banned planes, by the way.
Yeah.
And I think it's good. I hate planes. But at the same time, if you've ever built and painted a plane, you're pretty gutted now that your unit is literally unplayable.
Yeah.
And I think banning is a real bad place to be at, because it's feel bad, right? Real feel bad. Virtual bannings. But anyway, back to the point is, you can just hide half off the table. And then if you go first, you're dropping first, and the stuff's still not on the table to shoot at. And then they drop their stuff. But then I guess you drop your stuff in a way that screens their stuff.
Oh, God.
And then we get like a really weird meta game of like...
It's very techy, isn't it? I quite like it.
Well,
But
but it might be easily solvable, right? It might be like we are like now just trying to theorize at this point. Give it 2 or 3 weeks of events, and everyone's like, no, you drop first, you screen first, you kill what's on the table. It might be get to a situation. You know, the famous example of like someone cruising the edge of the board and the drop strike player loses the game on turn 0. That famous urban legend. Have you heard that? Yeah, everyone's heard that legend. We might actually get that where you shoot everything on the table dead, and then you deep strike before they do by going first, and you strategic reserve all along the edges of the board, and the opponent can only fit in a small gap against their board edge at the back, especially if it was like hamburger deployment. And there might be even buildings in the way and shit. There might even be enemy units in the way where they've like advanced. Like, do you see what I mean?
you could get a cheeky drop pod being like bang bang, and then that's the screens on the side of the board, and then you're like, well, I'm in your deployment zone because I've just gone 26 inches with bikes and speeders. Where can you drop?
Also, and going back to 12-inch deep strike Niles, those football students can go back into deep strike for 1 CP, right?
Yeah.
Do they go into reserves or do they go into deep strike?
I don't play Marines. I don't know.
Because they do. I'm not going to look it up. But they go into
Don't
deep
play
strike.
Marines yet.
You can shoot stuff off the backfield.
Yeah.
Drop all your strategic reserves in. Deep strike those in, and you've got a big rectangle. And they can't land anywhere.
Oh, jeez.
That might be the
Marines
better
are
game. I don't know.
aren't they?
But then the counter to that is you put everything on the board and don't play Marines. And I don't know. It's interesting. It's a fascinating time.
Let's talk about something else that's a bit horrendous. So with the new attachment, they've said you can take allies, and there's one particular So what's your first reaction to the Votan being allies with let's say Iron Hands?
I strongly dislike the current ally thing because it seems like a hot mess.
It does.
Like under the new rules, you can't put Custodes and sisters together or something. Which if we're talking like canonically and lore wise, that is what they can do. That's what they do on regular. It's dumb that they can't. But now you can have space dwarfs, like who are like meant to be not with the. It's stupid. From a mechanical perspective, I don't know if it's any good because the bike's obviously very strong.
Just take 18 bikes and then just Sangard.
Can you take 18 bikes? Is there not a point restriction on the allied bit?
Patrol, I don't know if it's on the allied bit.
It's a patrol, so you can take 2 fast attack.
Okay.
So you can take
12
bikes, but then you lose all. But so Iron Hands don't want the bikes because they lose Dev Doctrine, so they lose their revulls and their AP.
But do they keep OBSEC?
They might keep OBSEC, yeah, but you lose Doctrine.
Then you got your OBSEC. You got your OBSEC.
Okay.
and you've got your first turn, bang.
But at that point, you're not playing Iron Hands because Iron Hands, the only reason you play them is because your Doctrines are good. So you move away from Iron Hands now. So there's got to be a better. There might be a Voltan that's really good with
Blood Angels, maybe.
Maybe because Sangard don't care about Doctrines; they just fly around and stuff. You'd have a very fast army. It's a very fast army.
It's a very fast army. It doesn't necessarily need the +1 to charges.
I think you still get that. I think you get your tactic, but not your doctrines. So you don't get the AP changes, and you don't get the super doctrine. So Blood Angels only get +1 attack in the assault phase.
+1
to wound. Yeah, I think they get the +1 to wound. Sorry, no. +1 to wound they might still get. I'd have to look it up. It's so complicated. They lose some things and keep others. So they definitely lose doctrines. So maybe they're the ones.
It just seems silly, though, doesn't it?
It does seem silly, but
like put them as Imperium, not Xenos.
But maybe with Marines makes sense. But like other factions, like Sisters lose Miracle Dice, and playing Sisters without Miracle Dice is just not playing Sisters at all. So you lose that, and Custodes lose Martial Guitars, which are less powerful than Miracle Dice, but are still really useful. And it turns off some of your strats. So
maybe you can do an entire bike army then.
What? So you bring 12 Votan bikes and like 18 Custodian bikes or whatever.
and you take the
Venatori.
The ones that I just call it a Legion. I'm a Chaos player, but the Legion where you get the stratagem for a pre-game move with the bikes if you go first. So then you have all the Votan bikes go up. You have your big brick of bikes that go up.
And you just kill everything turn 1.
I
might actually try that on TTS. Because I love Custodes bikes are like one of my favorite units in the game. I played last beach and I played the book. The book had just come out, Reddit told everyone it was trash, and everyone was really upset the Custodes bit was bad.
Yeah.
I lost 1 round the whole weekend, came fourth.
Nice, well done.
And I was hanging out my arse day 2 as well. I was so drunk the night before. I've been sick. I burst blood vessels in my face because I'm drinking with Jake from VT. We had a very good night, and I wasn't thinking I was gonna do well, right? And then I rocked up, and then the book was so broken. But even hanging out my arse, I was still just like steamrolling people. And
Yeah.
I was apologizing. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Because you just popped 2 CP, the bugs were unkillable. Yeah, so if I can play bugs again, no, you haven't got that again. You haven't got that again. So they unnerfed a load of shit. So 2 of the strats became once per game. So genetic alchemy, not genetic alchemy, change martial guitar and stop rerolls, auspice and whatever the other one is. They became once per game. They're now back to being infinite. So you can turn off rerolls once per phase. Perfect. But it still says infantry. So bikes can't turn off rerolls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the bikes are still nerfed, but I think the nerfs to Custodes are quite heavy-handed, although the win rate would suggest that perhaps they weren't. But I thought they stripped out like a lot of what made playing Custodes like feel like Custodes, where they were like
yeah.
So changes, yes, but the bikes still aren't back to their former glory, unfortunately.
Good. I don't think anyone wants that. that was upset when you came up across someone. It's just like bikes.
Yeah, I played 9 of them, and no 10 of them because the bike captain as well, of course.
Yeah.
And they were just fantastic. They were so much fun in a very broken way. So okay, here's a question for you then, and so we can talk about there is that they have rolled back some debuffs, right? So the whole edition they ticked everything up in points to make battles feel smaller, and then for specifically Marines they're like, now we're back to old school now. And everyone's gained 400 points, right? And then AdMech gained all their Skitarii cohort stuff as part of their army.
Yeah.
Drukhari, apparently, I haven't really looked at them closely, but they unnerfed a load of stuff apart from Thick City. Is that correct?
No.
Oh, so did they not get unnerfed at all?
They also have a nerf, so they can't. they have to ally in Drukhari to get like Witch Cult, and so you have to take to have like Coven, Witch Cult, and Cabal. You have to take a Cabal Arks of Omen detachment, and then bring in 2 more detachments to
so the real space raids
have to be fully one faction.
So they haven't fixed the real space raid thing in Arks.
No, and they just brought out a FAQ today as recording, and I haven't like had a deep dive into what it actually means, but just some skim reading, which this could be completely wrong. They've basically worded it like you can't take a real space raid. You got to take a Cabal detachment, a Witch Cult detachment, and then a cover detachment, which means Drukhari are in the bin.
Why are they in the bin though? Because those detachments cost points, or are they CP?
Because you have to spend 4 CP.
I wasn't sure if Arks gave you those things for free or something. That's fascinating though, because they went back in FAQ because obviously Dark Angels had similar things where it's like you have to take a Vanguard or a Spearhead and you have to make it mono wing or whatever to get your buffs, and they gone back and said, or take it as an Ark.
The Witch Cult, the special cult strife detachments. You got none of those like points. Thank you, Manny. Thank you very much, because he was running the Rack City. But witches came down in points, and witches are insanely efficient into Marines because the AP1 they get 1 billion of attacks, and there's different ways like to get +1 to wound and all this sort of thing. But then the Blood Brides, being witches, they've gone down in points, and they go to in a specific build. You can have them strength 5 with 5 attacks each, so mix in some 2 damage into them. But they go to AP4 on 5s.
On 5s.
Yeah.
Like double super rent. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because witches were always like the bane of my life playing Marines when Drukhari first dropped and playing Sisters when Drukhari first dropped. Because they just blend you. Like it's just not even.
And attacks just trying to kill a dreadnought.
Because my original point was going to be, would it have been fun to see them just unnerf everything? So we just got Codex Drukhari, Codex AdMech.
I'd love
Custodes had all their stuff, Tyranids had all their stuff, Eldar had all their stuff, and then they did all these buffs to Marines.
I don't think the Dark Technomancers is that bad.
I don't even remember what it does. I'm pretty sure I lost a lot of models to it.
There was a Covenant detachment where all of your ranged weapons, being flamers, was the big thing. Get +1 to wounds. They're only strength 4. They're AP2, and then they go up to 2 damage.
Okay.
that was
Sounds reasonably strong.
broken. Yeah, but racks have gone up in points, and so now it's five points extra per squad, all that sort of stuff. But now you've also nerfed the way we can do detachments. I think that's the way I read it. I could be wrong, so let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. But you'd have to have one detachment of Dark Technomancers. So it means you don't get any Witch Cult, you don't get any Cabals. So you've literally just got racks with these +1 to wound and 2 damage flamers. That's it.
I feel for you because I know this is your main faction. I feel for you, but like I bought a Drukhari last year because I think the models are really cool, even if I don't like the faction. Like Rax, Homunculus look really cool. They're such cool models. I really want to paint some, but god damn it, I'm just sat here just saying all this stuff. I'm like, oh, fuck them, because they were so bad when they came out. Like Drukhari book was my first time playing 40k since coming back. I've been in the hobby about 3 years at this point.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to take a little break. I think this is obnoxious.
Well,
and then Abnek dropped and was like, oh, it happened again real soon. It was quite painful.
Right.
So maybe I'm still, and also I'm a better player than I was then. So I'm wondering if I'm just very much of a bias where I'm remembering book release, I'm remembering getting dumpstered by dumb shit of the Unbound Succubus where they hadn't even FAQ'd her, and it was just. And someone was explaining to me on TDS, they're like, oh, I get to reroll I get to put them back in the whip of them. The hits, and I'm like, this is not correct, and I can't believe you want to play it this way. This is absurd.
Well, so the way I would do it, I would keep all of the points up creases because we went from being 300 points undercosted to what we are now. Keep that point because that is Raiders went up by a total of like 30 points. So Raiders is how we get up the board.
Yeah. When did that go up? This status slate?
No, it was
last time. Yeah,
ages ago.
Because you see less Raiders on the board now.
Yeah,
so that's a good
mainly because you can't hide them. On the UKTC, you can hide like 3 Raiders.
Okay,
yeah.
But Raiders was an interesting one because you never think about it, do you? You're like, I think 6 Gladiators, they're so cheap. Like, because you can't put them anywhere. There's just gonna be a car park, like it's melted.
Yeah, exactly. So all I would do is I would undo every nerf because you can't take the crazy whip anymore because that detachment, the strife book is gone. So you can't have that. So that's gone. But what you can have, which you get the Army of Renown back for Drukhari, which they basically it was for Coven and Mercenaries, and then they go like literally no one had won anything with them, and they went okay, no Mercenaries, and we're like, come on.
Is that the January change where they dropped everything?
No, it was in the summer.
Oh, it's like actual nerf, right?
120 racks, like 3D prints, and I was like, I can't ever use these.
Ever. To be honest, if we wanna do a little digression here about racks and Manny slowing down tournaments on multiple occasions with armies that probably shouldn't be allowed, like the mass rack army is impractical to the point that it damages tournament speed. And in Magic, there is a parallel. There's a card called Sensei's Divining Top, which it's an artifact that for 1 mana allows you to look at the top 3 cards of your deck. And what you would do is every time your opponent would make an action that would change your potential game plan, you might want to recheck the top 3 and reorder them because you get to reorder them.
Yeah.
And what it led to, especially with inexperienced players, or even with top tier players, is that the matches involving Sensei's Divining Top would always go over time and would slow down the progression of tournaments. And the Rack army does that. We saw Manny going to time and events they're causing problems, right? Without getting into the drama around that.
Yeah.
So I guess the problem with that list probably shouldn't exist in its current form. Not because it's necessarily broken, although it might be, but also because it just makes events a fucking misery. As everyone stood around.
Yeah, I agree with you actually.
So the Rack point increase. Here's an interesting one. I don't understand. You said each score went up by 5 points.
It's basically every rack went up by I think it's a point or 2 points.
So how much? What does a Rack City list look like post points then? How many squads does it lose? How many squads was it originally?
1 brick. You lose 1 brick.
So how many squads is it originally?
So it was 2, 4, 6, 8. So it was I think it was like 6 squads of 20.
Okay. And you have 5 squads of 20.
Yeah. But so the way it used to be, you used to have squad of racks, backfield. The rest go forwards.
Yeah.
That's it. And then you have your characters jumping in between everything. So turn 2, characters come in and kill everything.
And then after turn 2, the game ends because no one managed to finish because there was too much movement and dice rolls. That's what I mean. So again, it's not a slight and please understand what I'm saying here as well. Like Manny finding the thing that breaks the game and it breaking the game on a competitive level, and then us having to figure out a way to fix it is not a slight towards him. If anything, it's a testament to how he thinks on perhaps a level that I don't. But when exploits, or not exploits and things that break the game like this happen, like buggy spam was found and that was an issue, all sorts of things like this, then we have to adjust in some way, especially if it makes the game unplayable. It's just like games just don't finish anymore.
But wouldn't you just reduce the squad size?
Is that
make it 10, not 20?
But then in the new Arks detachment, you can take 9 squads of 10.
Yeah.
Is that the same situation?
Or no, you can take 12. You can take.
Wait, you take 12 troops now?
You can take 3 as a compulsory.
Can't then 6 more.
Yeah.
No, it's 6 more.
9 more.
9 more. Okay, so we're just back to the same situation, but they're like MSU. Is that good or bad? I don't know. Either way,
I don't think it's very good.
Those kind of troops, like,
why his list was broken is because when you get down to 10 models, the whole that unit has a 4+ Villain Pain.
Oh, I see. So actually, yeah, you're right then. So reducing the squad size.
Because then it goes down to 5 models, and then really you can just kill 5 models with anything, even if it has a 4+ Villain Pain, because they don't have a save. So technically, it's their armor save.
Or they could just remove. They could be like they could just do a data set with the Villain Pain's gone.
Oof. But then they don't have a save.
Yeah,
it's just have a 6-up invuln.
They're like Termagants, but worse. I don't know.
Oh god, yeah. But no, yeah. So, what do you reckon you'll be running at your first event of the season?
So, I haven't got many events left. My baby comes in March.
Yes.
At that point, thank you. So at that point, I don't know if I can get out and about for events for at least 6 months, probably longer. So I'm doing a bit of a last hurrah. I've got one big Magic event, one big Warhammer event next month, and then I'm going to be like on basically a break, which is fine. I'll be playing on TTS a little bit here and there, maybe if I get time. So for Beachhead, which is my last one, considering I did really well the last Beachhead I went to, so I've got this thing in my head, like I can do it again, but I haven't got a book that is secretly broken that everyone thinks is bad, because that was the key there.
Yeah.
I think I'm on Iron Hands at the moment. I really do. So what happened was I was mass painting these orcs and I got demons ready because I fucking love demons. They're like
cool models.
They're cool models, and I love the deep striking like 6 inches away from you and like charging bloodletters at you and all that jazz. Flamers are fun even when they've been nerfed. All that stuff's good. So I'd love to play one of those, but I think I have to play Marines. But it depends if I think everyone else is on Marines at that point. Am I just playing into a meta where everyone's on the same thing and then you aren't the broken thing? Yeah. You got to find the counterplay for that.
I think everyone's knee-jerk is going to be Iron Hands.
Yeah. But I'm hoping that the storm will settle and everyone will move to Terminator spam. Because that's another thing, right? Yeah. And then I just rock up with like mortal wound output from like a demon or like something listed. I don't know. So ultimately, what you asked me a question, my ultimate answer is I'm not really sure. I'm default Iron Hands, and I'm still going to build some more infiltrators. I'm going to build a Stone Guard squad because I didn't have them ready for last weekend. I'm going to keep building towards it. I might build some Bloodhounds as well, just to be on the safe side in case I go Demons. And I'm going to play some TTS games. Maybe ask people to play Iron Hands against me, play Marines against me, so I can get those reps in, and then start to really understand what the weaknesses so I can shore it up, or how do I beat this playing Demons? And I think mortal wound output into those Terminators has got to be the answer.
Big. That's
like especially transhuman Stormshield onto Dark Angels. Like because I was doing some math stuff as well, and the average unit in the Iron Hands list that I was playing was only picking up like 1.7 or 2.3 like Terminators in activation. So if the whole army shot, I might clear 1 squad, 1.5 squads sort of thing.
Flamers are still good.
Yes, I think Flamers are really, really still good. I need to find an exalted flamer. They're out of stock everywhere. Maybe I have to kit bash or 3D print one because I don't own a physical one. And they still rerun ones with the Lord of Change or with Be'lakor, so they're still good. I think they're still good. I think Screamers got better with the points decrease as well.
They're great for your secondary as well. Yeah,
they're amazing for secondaries. They're incredibly fast again for secondaries, and then they have a reasonable Marine killing profile, but they hit on 4s is the problem.
They do mortals when they fly over stuff, but then they also do +1 of wound against vehicles as a strat or something.
There might be a strat. I know that they definitely do wounds on the passover. It's a 4-up per model, so you run squads of 6, I guess. Do a couple of mortals. They hit on 4s. They're strength 6, AP 3, damage 2. So they have a Marine killing profile, but they hit on 4s.
Very nice. That's a bit annoying.
Yes, that's the issue. But and then Flamers I think are still good. Screamers good, and then Bloodhounds got cheaper as well, and they move really fast, and they kill Marines. They're like strength 5 or 6, AP 3, damage 2, aren't they as well? And they have denies, so you got some sick denial there. And then of course the Bloodthirster, they put it up by 10 points. But I still think that thing is absolutely obnoxious. So
can't kill him.
Yes.
It just doesn't matter if he's 10 points more. He's not dying.
Yeah,
especially against Iron Hand. He's like, okay, great. I've taken 8 wounds. Now I'm killing 2 Redemptors.
Yeah, and you can also just deep strike him on turn 2 if you don't want him to take 8 wounds initially, because you can deep strike onto a locust, can't he?
Yeah.
So Depends if you want to take a Corn Locust or not. But you can destroy into Be'lakor can have them in his pocket. So Be'lakor can be like, whoa, whoa, and like throw out demons out of his pocket and stuff within 6
That's so good.
I know. So I do love demons. I played a load of them. I think they're fun. Obviously, the Flame of Nerf was needed.
Oh yeah, big time.
So yeah, it's going to be demons or marines, I think. Or maybe they just go back to Custodes and run it back.
Nah, you just painted all your demons, and you got your Iron Hands. This conversation has been very heavily Iron Hands. So I think your brain is going
Iron. If everyone else is on Iron Hands, why don't I have the 4 wound Terminators with the 4 up save that are obsec, and then have them not kill those? But they're also a lot more expensive than, I think they're like 40 points. They're way dearer than normal Marine Terminators.
Yeah. So, well, what we can agree on though is that Arks of Omen has really shaken everything up, and now it's gone interesting again.
Yes, and I'm absolutely lost into what I'm playing because you asked that question. I just listed 4 armies, and that's not helpful, is it? So yeah, it has shaken things up, and it's exciting. And in short, we need to play more Warhammer to understand where we're at.
Yeah.
Right. That's the other thing. We can theorize till the cows come home. We can all type comments into Reddit, but perhaps actually playing some Warhammer might make us understand it a bit better.
Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? But we have run out of time, my friend.
That's cool. I've rambled a lot. I'm sorry. I've out the whole episode by just like jumping from topic to topic. But I'm talking about Warhammer. So.
Well, hopefully it's exciting for everyone because we're all just like 2 kids being like, "Look at our toys! Look at our toys!"
You started to list Drukhari stuff, and I just had people are probably going to see it in the video. My eyes glaze over, and I'm having flashbacks. I have flashbacks to like multiple raiders just landing and everything in my army disappearing. I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah.
But, thanks for having me on, though. I appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for coming on. It's been really interesting chat. But before we go, can you just tell everyone where to find you and everything like that?
Yeah. So if you want to find magic and card game content, including stuff about Warp Forge, the new 40k card game, I am Pleasant Kenobi on YouTube. And then if you want to see Warhammer content and war gaming, but it's mainly Warhammer and a bit of AOS and Kill Team, I'm on PK's War Room, which is my channel for that sort of stuff. And I'm very active on Twitter as well, which is Pleasant Kenobi again. Normally just tweeting about both things. And a bit of politics. So if you don't want to hear me call the Tories cunts, then you probably shouldn't follow me there. Anyway.
Fair enough. Well, no, thank you for coming. And everyone, please like and subscribe down below, and please
smash that bell. Smash that bell.
Comments as well. I'm always interacting with everyone, and you can reach out to me on Instagram, and I'm gonna post both of our social links down below, so you don't even need to go about far if you want to check out Pleasant Kenobi's channels. They're going to be down below. So thanks for watching, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.